Well, this has been a really big pivot for a lot of Republican candidates. What we're seeing is Americans generally do not favor abortion bans, and support for reproductive rights has been really high, even in red states. So Republican candidates, from Donald Trump down to here in Arizona, Kari Lake, Juan Ciscomani, they've all been trying to figure out how they can amend their views, change their views, however you want to think about it, to better suit the American people. It seems where Republicans have landed is on sort of leaving it to the people to decide, trying to step away from it altogether. And here in Arizona, we do have abortion on the ballot in November, and it's going to be a huge motivator for a lot of pro-choice voters who say that abortion is more important to them than what we typically see pro-life voters saying. So to restate that, pro-choice voters say abortion is more important than pro-life voters do. So it's more of a mobilizing issue that could help Kamala Harris in Arizona and in other states across the country.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you raised that point, Samara, because, of course, since Roe was overturned, since the Dobbs decision, we have seen abortion literally on the ballot in a number of states. And voters overwhelmingly in each of those instances have voted to protect abortion rights and have done so in, frankly, high numbers. So as you were alluding to before, the fact that things are always really, really close in Arizona, these are always very tight races, is the fact that abortion is also going to be on that ballot in addition to the senatorial candidates, to the presidential candidates. Could that potentially be the thing that makes or breaks who wins?
Absolutely. I mean, we have abortion on the ballot. That's going to be very mobilizing and will probably help not only Kamala Harris, but down ballot Democrats as well. We also have an immigration measure on the ballot, which provides the state of Arizona with more power to enforce immigration here at the state level. That could potentially help Republican candidates. And so we are seeing this sort of tension between a ballot measure that favors the Democrats and a ballot measure that favors the Republicans. We'll see how these two ballot measures eventually balance out. But I mean, anything within a state like this where things are so close, it's hard for me to say that there's anything that couldn't make a difference.
Well, so I'd like to ask you about something that could make a difference, or really two things, and which one of them might matter the most. We have been talking at length here today about the fundraising figures from the Harris campaign, $540 million raised in the 5 weeks since Joe Biden dropped out, but also this notion that the campaign says it's not just about the money they've raised, it's about the people they have signed up to volunteer, more than 200,000 of them that could potentially be out there knocking on doors, working the ground game. Samara, how important will that be in a state like Arizona? Not just buying time on the airwaves, but also having people show up to talk to Arizonans in person.
Well, over a third of Arizonans identify as independent and tell pollsters that they are uncommitted to either party. Typically, independents do favor one party over the other, but getting these groups mobilized and getting them, registered and ready to vote is it's essential. And the fact that there's such a big ground campaign going on right now in Arizona is going to be really, really essential. I mean, I am expecting a lot of knocks on my door and a lot of text messages and a lot of phone calls, and I think everybody in Arizona is going to experience that.
I also want to ask you, Samara, about something that happened in Arizona last week, which was RFK Jr. suspending his presidential campaign and then endorsing Donald Trump and joining him on stage in Arizona. What difference do you think that actually makes there, or in any other state for that matter? Were you considering RFK Jr. as a consequential factor in the outcome of this race?
Yeah, I'm going to wait to see how the polls play out this week. I have a poll going out to Arizonans this week as well. Support for RFK had dipped really low. It was hovering around 5% by the time he dropped out. So we're not talking about a lot of voters here. And there is a lot of speculation as to what these voters are going to do. They're not uniformly leaning toward Trump. They do favor Trump over Harris, but just slightly so. So it's hard to know whether this is going to make a difference. But, as I just said, anything could. And we're going to see what the numbers say over the next, week or two as these voters decide whether they'll participate at all or who it is that they're going to give their vote to.
Well, and of course, before they ultimately decide, they will have potentially chances to hear from both of these candidates. September 10th on ABC. 2 weeks from tomorrow, Samara, is scheduled to be the first presidential debate between Trump and Harris, though Donald Trump is maybe throwing into question whether he wants it to be on ABC, whether or not mics will be hot the whole time, is an outstanding issue, it seems, between these two campaigns. But how consequential will that moment be to voters in these swing states, including Arizona, of course, but elsewhere, in deciding who they're going to cast a ballot for? Can either candidate afford to give up that opportunity?
I mean, listen, I was always one of the many political scientists who'd say, debates don't all matter all that much, but look what happened after that Biden-Trump debate. So debates matter, it turns out. And, I think Kamala Harris has a bit of a lead right now in terms of momentum and just the trends in her favor. So the debate's going to matter, especially for Trump. He's going to kind of have to stop her in her tracks a little bit, try to reverse that momentum. And so I think it will be consequential when it comes to determining, the trends going forward. Harris has been on a upward trajectory ever since she announced her candidacy. The debate could be a good opportunity for Trump to sort of stop those trends and regain that momentum.